Braxton Miller's loose spin move. Miller
in the end zone. Oh, what a catch!
And he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him?
It's Ohio State together at the mountaintop. Champions of college football.
The Ohio State of Mind podcast, hosted by Josh Keelan and Chris Wright.
Your number one stop for all Buckeye football news.
What's in the box?
A boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat.
This is such a crock of shit.
Hoo-ah!
The Ohio State of Mind podcast. Turn it up.
Oh, and happy 4th of July to each and every one of you. As always, I am Chris, and no, my wife did not leave me. I'm just in a different room. Okay, she didn't take everything, I swear. As always, to my right, my hetero life mate Josh. And Josh, I people are going to watch this back, and they're going to assume that you passed the torch and you let me wear no sleeves this time.
Oh my God, dude. You look great. You look great. Congratulations, bro.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh my God. I don't listen to her music, but I've seen her ass, seen some videos of her body parts moving around slowly. So big fan.
Big fan.
At least my penis.
Anything new with you this week, my friend?
No, man. Just grinding through. Just grinding through the work week, dude. July 4th, you know what I mean? Just trying to get
the
some
5th
things.
here.
Yeah, that's right. Just trying to tidy up and excited for some football right around the corner, dude. Next week, the college football video game comes out. Definitely go back and listen to our show last week as we dive into what you put sexy and what you don't in the video game. But dude, I'm already starting to lay the tracks down as far as who to bet on and when to bet. So I'm pretty excited about this episode.
Very nice, very nice. Can I say one thing that's off topic? I gotta talk to you about, and it blows my mind every time. I don't care anymore. Hey, I'm in the Philippines, right? And here's these bottles of water they have, okay? And why? It's got to be a patent or something, okay? So I take a bottle of water off. The cap doesn't come off, okay? Weird, right?
It's awesome though. You don't like
but
it? It's cool.
Hear me out. It can snap into place, and you never lose your bottle cap.
The Philippines are like the future, bro.
Dude.
Did
an alien ship land overnight over here? And they just gave him this?
That's all they get. That's all they get. That's the only advanced technology that they that and hot dogs, right? Hot dogs and spaghetti. Isn't that what you
Dude, yeah. Well, they were going back up like the fucking little track, the little step up to the ship, and they're like, that's the one.
like the Spider-Man, everybody gets
we're going to talk about some college. We're going to talk about some Big Ten teams. We're going to look at their season, look at their outlook, predict some win totals. If we were sitting here to do the entire Big Ten, it would be a 3-hour episode without question. We've selected 4 teams. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna talk about some returning starters. We're gonna look at their schedules. We're gonna predict an over/under on win total. Before we get into that, any Buckeye news that jumps out, Josh?
So they got a commit. Well, first of all, I want to be clear. It's not like Chris and I picked our favorite teams. We're going in alphabetical order. Just for those that are curious. But as far as news goes, I saw Ohio State got a new commitment today, a defensive tackle, I believe from Glenville, who was committed to Florida.
Flipped him.
Flipped to Ohio State. So that's a big get. I'm not going to sit here. I do this every time we talk about recruiting. I have not dove into this guy's film. I don't even know the guy's name. But I know that Ohio State has been
Jameer Perez is his name.
Amelia Perez. Perfect. Okay. And
Oscar winner Amelia Perez. Yeah, a 3-star defensive tackle, Jameer Perez from Cleveland Glenville, committed to the Gators, has flipped to Ohio State. And I'm looking it up real quick because he had a quote that I loved. He said, and I quote, "The best in Ohio, stay in Ohio."
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah. especially judging from our recruiting recap pieces that we've done previously. But yeah, man, I know Ohio State desperately wanted him. I know Ohio State's very, very excited to get him, so that makes me excited. Obviously, I'm still watching film on last year's class. I'm very far behind, but there are some interesting people. Ohio State really seems like they've done a great job recruiting defensive line recently. Yeah. And hopefully this is the next big thing. So we'll obviously there's plenty of time for this kid to flip, but once an Ohio State doesn't really typically lose Ohio kids to flip back. They lose Ohio kids who get sick of waiting for a scholarship, and then they commit to Michigan or Michigan State or whatever it may be, or Florida in this case. But once the Ohio kid decides that they want to go to Ohio State, there's usually no back and forth. That's a pretty good locked up prospect. So yeah, there's some news there. We talked about Mayan Williams tearing it up in the CFL. He's hurt. Yeah. Fortunately, Austin Mack, he's hurt. So both these CFL Ohio State studs have been hurt. That's kind of a bummer. And then who was it? I think Damon Arnett got picked up by the Bears.
He got picked up by the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Texans.
Again?
Texans.
Yeah,
Texans.
No way. Yeah, there you go.
The
Texans. So,
Texans.
That's as well.
Other big thing, I would say Jeremiah Smith coming out and guaranteeing a win against Michigan. What's your over/under on where are you at on the I'm with it meter? Like it, don't like it?
No, that's cool, man. I got a lot of faith in him. He's obviously a badass, right? And he sees stuff that we don't. And he was on the field last year, and I think that we've had Julian Goins-Jackson, a current Ohio State football player, on the show, and he kind of went over the ebbs and flows of that game and the week leading up to it, and the confidence, the swagger that Ryan Day has shown since that game, or since Ohio State's won the national championship and kind of went on that run. So it's going to be a different team this year. And that goes for both sides, too. Michigan's going to be a different team as well, right? They got Bryce Underwood, Sherrone Moore. This will be his second year. So I think that Ohio State has – I said this last year. I say this every year, unfortunately. But this will be a good year for Ohio State to jump. I'm not going to make any predictions because we're going to go through the Ohio State show, the Michigan show, all that stuff. But this should be a good year for Ohio State to do it. I mean, you're going up against a freshman quarterback. There's been a lot of changes on that team. I guess my assumption was Bryce. It's very clear Bryce Underwood didn't want to go to Michigan, right? He's only going to Michigan for the bag. So my assumption is to keep him happy, they're going to also throw the ball. They're not built to throw the ball, right? And they lost a lot of talent on defense. Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. I mean, there's, not Jabril Peppers. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus, dude. They've lost a lot of talent. So this is it. This is a good, they should be able to step up and do it. This should be the game. Ohio State again loaded at receiver, loaded at defensive backfield. Yeah, man. This should be a good year for Ohio State to do it.
I'm wholeheartedly with it. I also like the statement of confidence. We are going to talk Big Ten teams. You said yourself we're going to go in alphabetical order. We've got the first four. We're going to cover Illinois. Go ahead.
Before we should mention, Jeremiah Smith just signed a huge NIL deal with Adidas too, so that'll be interesting to see what comes of that. Whether there's going to be a
good call,
Adidas shoe or whatnot, that would be pretty cool. And then the last thing, Panini has signed. They have a new NIL box coming out, and it wouldn't be typically we don't talk about trading cards on here all that often, but it's kind of cool because Tavion St. Clair, I believe, I don't know if he signed an exclusive or not, but that is going to be the first autograph card on shelves. I'm pretty confident of. So I've got a couple dudes that listen to the show that are into cards. So
you brought it up as well, and Jeremiah Smith as well came out this week and talked some exuding confidence about Julian Sand. Says he releases the ball like no other. You think that's almost all but set in stone that he might be the starting quarterback for this team going forward?
Julian Sand?
Yeah,
man. I think we've been talking about that. It's been leading up to it, right? You and I. One thing that we're it's both a blessing and a curse. Is that I don't think we're not fluffers, right? A lot of Ohio State podcasts they kind of are like, there's a quarterback competition. I've always said that I like Lincoln Kienholz. Lincoln Kienholz high school tape was super fun.
Right.
Great athlete, and he also did not get the bet. He did not enroll early at Ohio State. In today's day and age of college football, that half a year you're missing is absolutely friggin' huge, right? So he's bigger too. Julian Sain has size issues. We talked about that numerous times. So Lincoln Kienholz is not going to go. He's not going to go away, right? But Julian Sain, we've always talked about is the guy that's, If Julian Sain doesn't start, I don't think he's going to be here next year, right?
Agreed.
So even if it's a 50-50 battle, if it's 50-50, they're going to go with Julian Sain, right? I think we kind of I don't want to talk on your behalf, but I feel like you and I kind of been on the same page as far as that goes. And Julian Sain, he's a great talent. We compared him to Troy Smith with the way he distributes the ball, right? He does not have the physical ability of a guy like C.J. Stroud. He doesn't, right? C.J. Stroud has an impeccable deep ball. He's got one of the best arms in the NFL, as we're witnessing right now. Big, fast, strong. I don't think Julian's going to be that, but Julian can be a hell of a distributor. He can move well enough to pick up necessary yards on the ground, and I don't think he's going to make any dumb decisions. So, I think he's got a quick release too. He's got a very quick release, which helps.
That's what everyone keeps alluding to, the very, very quick release. And you're absolutely right. I think getting Julian Sain to come on over to the Buckeyes, saying, "Hey, after this season, this team is yours." I think that was obviously a big, talking point or promise from Ryan Day. So I think it's about set in stone. But you brought up Tavian St. Clair. We're getting his first card. We're excited, but hey, we hopefully we can see him at least take some snaps, even if it is in garbage time. We want to see him play, don't we?
Dude, I told you in spring, Tavian St. Clair is the most talented, the most physically gifted quarterback in that room. He's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger, he's the youngest. He is. I mean, he threw the prettiest deep ball the spring games, didn't complete it, but it was a pretty ball, man. The dude, he's got a lot of talent, man. Tavian St. Clair. You know me, usually I'm kind of the one that kind of muffles down the hype. With Jeremiah Smith, I was kind of, slow it down. We'll slow it down.
Yeah.
Tavian St. Clair, maybe it's just me being biased because he went to school 30 minutes away from where we grew up.
Right.
Dude, that guy can woo. So.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, like we were saying, hey, we're not going to cover all 17, 18 Big Ten teams. That we'd be here for 3 hours. We're going to cover the first 4. We're going to break them down alphabetically. We're going to cover season outlooks. We're going to cover projected win totals for Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Maryland. Isn't it crazy that the first alphabetical team in the Big Ten is I?
Dude, it's hilarious, right? I was talking about that with I think I was talking about that last year with Colby. He's like, dude, I do because he does every single FBS team. Colby Dan, he's about before, and he talks about Big Ten conference is so weird because he goes alphabetical order and the first letters. What the fuck?
Yeah, that is wild.
How do you have 18 teams and you start at I?
That's crazy. No, but to go over every single FBS team, that is wild. That is a daunting task.
Yeah, he's good at what he does. Definitely check him out, the College Football Experience podcast for sure.
Absolutely. Jumping straight into it. First team off the rip, you disappeared. There you are. I got you. Daddy's got you. And Iowa, as it was. It's right in front of my face. Illinois.
Yeah.
We've got the Fighting Illini. We've got some returning starters. We've got the quarterback, Luke Altmaier. We've got a couple studs on defense. 2 big mainstays that I put on there. Gabe Jacas, obviously, defensive end, and Xavier Scott, their leading interception guy from last year as well.
Yep.
Return. A couple other cornerbacks come back as well. They had a pretty decent receiver as well, but I believe he went in the draft this year, Pat Brown. I think he's gone.
Yeah, Pat Brown's gone.
But Luke Altmaier, we've talked about him on the podcast before. He's a gamer. He's a guy that likes to be in the thick of it. They had some wild finishes and some shootouts last year as well. I mean, by all barometers for the Illinois football program, I think they had a successful season last year, finishing 5th in the Big Ten.
Yeah, man. They finished last year. They finished 10-3, and then they beat. So I've got the depth chart next to me.
Yeah.
And they beat South Carolina, which was a big win. I mean, South Carolina was a team that was, they're a playoff team, SEC playoff team. And Illinois, they didn't take them back to the woodshed, but they won. And I think that was a big win. Illinois got a lot of disrespect last year. Dude, there's a lot to like. There's a lot to like, man. First of all, Brett Bielema, I don't think he's a great coach, but I think he's a very good coach. And I think he learned from his time at Arkansas. Okay, I think he's a guy that has made Brett Bielema. What I think the biggest change that Brett Bielema has made since arriving at Illinois is he's no longer so myopic as far as his game plan goes. It's not just I'm going to hand the ball off 50 times a game. And you're seeing that with Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier has improved every single year since being at Illinois. This is a former 4-star, 5-star recruit at Ole Miss who maybe didn't see the field as quickly as he wanted to, but is very, very, very good. Very, very, very good. Is he the best quarterback in the Big Ten? No. But he's going to maybe make an argument statistically for that at the end of the year. Running backs, we know, like I said, it's a Brett Bielema team, so there's still going to be a lot of that there. Caden Fegan was supposed to be their starter last year. We did the fantasy football podcast. We just drafted Big Ten guys, and he was drafted fairly early because he was going to be the lead back. He got hurt, bumped, and bruised. But honestly, the part I'm trying to it's hard to summarize this Illinois team up as quickly as possible because I'm so excited about them. But there's two things about the offense that I really like, and it's the receivers, right? They returned Malik Elsley, who was very productive, very solid player. Then they got Hudson Clement, who was a walk-on at West Virginia, who had over 50 receptions, who's coming to Illinois, and that dude has these fly trips for hands. So I think I think he's going to make a huge impact. Then they got a tight end and two tight ends, Tanner Arkin and Cole Rusk, who are both probably going to be NFL draft picks. So there's a lot of ability there. There's a lot of options there for Altmaier in the passing game. And then they also return all 5 offensive stars in the offensive line. And that includes J.C. Davis, who's probably going to be an somewhat early round draft pick. And then Josh Kreutz at center, who's returning, I think he was all Big Ten last year. So there's a lot going on that offense. And the defense, you talk about Gabe Jackas, I think he had I know he led the team in Illinois in sacks last year, and I think he led the Big Ten in pass rushes. So this is a guy who's very capable, and he's not the only one that's good in that linebacker core in that second group. You call it Dylan Rosick. I think he led them in tackles. He's all over the field as well. So there's a lot to like about this Illinois offense and this Illinois defense. I'm very, very, very high on Illinois, and we're going to get to that. You even talked about the defensive backs, right? Maybe the big missing thing is there's not a stud on the defensive line, but I think that it's a Bielema team, so we can kind of write that in as a reload and not a rebuild. But if you want, we can certainly dive into the schedule and figure out automatic wins, automatic losses, and kind of go from there. First game, Western Illinois. I wrote that down as an automatic dub.
Dub.
Yeah. Then they played Duke at Duke. There's a lot of people that are picking Duke. I know you're a big Duke guy. We had a conversation about who's their dickhead, Manny Diaz. Last year, they went out and they got rid of Malik Murphy. They didn't want Malik Murphy, and they went out and got rid of stuff. So theoretically, they should be better at quarterback. I don't know if that's true. I wrote that down as an automatic dub, dude. I think it's a talent gap.
I'm taking it as dub. I'm looking at Illinois. I'm looking at 3-0 off the rip.
Me too. Yeah, Western. Yeah, the first game, the first 50-50 game, and I still gave them a dub here. Is Indiana. I think that's a 50-50 game because it is at Indiana. I don't think Indiana's going to fall off a cliff. So you agree that's a 50-50 game?
That one's my toss-up. If we weren't on the road, I'd steer a little bit more closer to Illinois, but it is a 50-50 game for me.
Yeah. And I gun to my head, I'm taking Illinois, but I'm just trying to be as objective as possible. Trying to figure out where could they struggle. The next game at USC. I gave that a 50-50 game as well. I do think that USC is going to be a little improved because Lincoln Riley's on the hot seat, A, and B, you are coming off a game at Indiana, who should be, if they're even close to what they were last year, that's going to be a tough game. So you should be, beaten, battered, and yada, yada, yada. So I think that's another 50-50 game. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I still think it's a fill-up, but it's a 50-50.
I'm with you, Tom. It's a 50-50 game, but it's also USC coming into Champaign. Maybe it's a last possession game without question. I think who's got the ball last kind of thing.
Yes, I agree completely. And if it was later in the year, maybe then I would automatically give Illinois the W instead of 50-50. But unfortunately, with it being early in the year, that doesn't benefit Illinois. Next game at Purdue. Purdue blows. I know they got Barry Odom. I think Barry Odom is a super, super great hire. There's just not a lot of talent there, right? Or there's not competing automatic. Then they play Ohio State. They do get Ohio State at home. I do think that this is a 50-50 game. I think Ohio State is going to have their – Illinois is tough, man. Illinois is tough, dude. They're well coached. It's hard for me with the inexperience at quarterback on Ohio State's side of the ball and what they have to replace on defense. It's hard for me to give them an automatic dub. I would probably honestly lean Illinois as of now today, but I think I have it written down as a 50-50 game.
I circled this early on when I saw the schedules this season. This is my Ohio State trap game for the season. Coming into Champaign, it is my Ohio State trap game. I'm fully on board with you with a 50-50 game. I think this is. I don't see how this isn't a. They both have, they both have rankings within the top 15, top 20 when this game happens.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Next game, then I don't have any other 50-50 games. I got to straight dubs, dude. They play at Washington. I don't think Washington's good. I said it last year.
Agreed.
That you're expecting a huge turnaround for Jed Fish in his second year with the new quarterback who I think there's a lot of talent there. I think DeMond Williams is a lot to like. I think Denzel Boston. I love Denzel Boston. I love Jonah Coleman.
Yeah.
There's not a lot there on defense. Right?
No.
They're just not good. You play Rutgers, you get Rutgers at home. There's a huge talent gap there as well. Then you get Maryland. Maryland's awful. We're going to talk about Maryland today. Then you get Wisconsin at Wisconsin. You can make an argument that that's a 50-50 game. I don't think that Luke Fickell's a good coach at this point. I was against Wisconsin hiring him. They're switching the offense back to a power scheme. They're switching things over again. We know people that have been working with Wisconsin or we know people that are close to the Wisconsin program and know that they reek of desperation as far as, trying to save their jobs. So I think that's a Bielema coaching special. And then they end the year with Northwestern, who's also not great. So I don't have any 50-50 games with those at all. Do you?
No. I think, we've got an over-under win total of 7.5, and we pulled this from DraftKings. Am I correct?
That is correct.
I'm without question. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over for this Illinois team in a win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm slamming money down on it now, dude. I mean, this is probably my favorite bet of the Big Ten, and we're starting out hot. Even if they lose all three of the 50-50 games, which they're not going to do, they're probably going to win. They're going to win at least one of those games, right? Mm-hmm. But let's say they lose all three. You still have 9 wins. So you pass the 7 mark by 2 games. That line doesn't make any sense to me. I think that line is giving Duke too much credit and Wisconsin too much credit.
I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I think going into Camp Randall isn't going to be an issue for this team. This is a team that's already, have already got over that gap of if they do fall to Ohio State, they're looking on forward. They're saying, hey, there's 12 teams that can get into the playoffs now this year. And I think, and you said it. I mean, if you give me a team that returns all 5 offensive linemen, and I'm on.
And they're good. They're good. These are not two of those guys. One of those guys could be an All-American, J.C. Davis, and the other guy's going to be All Big Ten. I'm with you. I don't know. The number really confuses me. I know that when you look at Illinois' schedule last year, every game was won by 3, 4, 5, 6 points. Like they didn't blow anybody out. So maybe you're not running to the book and betting on Illinois to beat Western Michigan by 40 points or whatever that spread's going to be. But you're not doing that, right? You're taking the win total over. For reference, too, for those that are questioning, we get this question every year. The win total does not include bowl games. It does not include conference championship games. It includes the schedule that you see before you. Also, as a note, last year in this exercise, I went 11-7 for the entire conference on this exercise, but I did go, what I say, 3-3 on the 6 teams.
Right at 500.
Classic on the teams that I actually won money on. I lost money, but there we go. All right, we're ready to move on to Indiana.
Yeah, we're right on to Indiana. Indiana, we've got an over/under win total of 8.5 games. We're both fans of Elijah Surratt. He does return.
Yes.
D'Angelo Pons was their stud corner on defense as well, and their leading tackler Aiden Fisher at linebacker is returning as well. Obviously, losing a plethora of talent on the offensive side, but Josh, go right ahead.
Yeah, man. Obviously, they lose. Jesus, is it Kurt? They lost Curtis Rourke. I'm sorry,
Curtis Rourke. Yes,
his brother Nathan. They lost Curtis Rourke. Got drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. I love Curtis Rourke. I thought Curtis Rourke did a good job. Curtis Rourke played the majority of all last season, bumped and bruised. Okay.
Yes.
They replaced him with Fernando Mendoza, the starting quarterback at Cal last year, who was very, very productive. Been very, very productive. I don't think Mendoza is as good as Rourke. I'm just going to come out.
Agreed.
And say that. But I don't think it's a big deal. First of all, I think that this Indiana team, I think that they do a couple things. Usually, the issue last year when I was at the Ohio State Indy game last year, there was a huge size difference. There was a couple. They just didn't seem as strong in the trenches. I don't think that that's the case this year. First of all, they went out. They got a couple transfers. They returned Carter Smith, and Carter Smith was good enough when he did enter the portal for the brief period he did. Ohio State tried to get him. Then they got Pat Coogan, who's probably going to be all Big Ten. He started at Notre Dame last year. And then they got Khalil Benson from Colorado. So that's 3 guys immediately that you're talking, that have played big boy ball. We know they can play big boy ball. We know that they're improvements. They also have Zen Mikulski. Zen Mikulski started at Ohio State before he went down with injury. Was Zen Mikulski great here? No, but he also played offensive tackle. He's probably going to start the season off at right tackle in Indiana. That's where he was in the spring. I don't know if that's going to be the case for the season. The Indiana and Coach Cignetti has shown no issue reevaluating the offensive line talent. But Zen Mikulski was a former 4-star recruit with a lot of talent. So if he can turn into that next level and maybe not even hit the pinnacle of what he really could be, we're talking about a really, really strong Indiana offensive line. On top of that, too, their running game wasn't bad last year, and they didn't really have a stud running back. This year they
ran 3 of them.
And they were all okay. I'm not going to talk shit about them, but none of them were great. They returned. Now this year they get Roman Hemby, a transfer from Maryland, who was the only good player on Maryland last year. Okay, and then they get Lee Beebe from UAB, who was an absolute weapon out of the backfield as a receiver. So they're getting 2 running backs that I think are, if they're not, they're immediate upgrades. They're immediate upgrades. And then on the defensive line, they returned to Kale Kamara, who led the Big Ten in sacks last year. We saw him firsthand. This is a guy who's going to have first-round hype. Like you said, they have Aiden Fisher. And they have Pons at corner, and then their other corner, Amari Farrell, is also a very, very good corner, all Big Ten caliber corner. And then they got, my mind's a blank. Wyatt. Yeah, Kellen Wyatt as the other defensive end. That guy showed flashes. I think that there's something there as well. So there are pieces there on that defense. Is the defense going to shut down people? Maybe not. They lose their 2 big boys on the interior. But I think that the offense is going to be better. And you mentioned Elijah Surratt. Elijah Surratt was very, very, very solid last year. He was great with James Madison the year before. So hopefully, maybe he's even better this year. But there's a lot to like with this Indiana team. With that said, though, before we move on, you want to dive in? Their total sits at 8.5, dude.
Yeah, I mean, are you surprised by that one? Are you think that, like, did a lot of it was like, hey, here comes Coach. He's bringing the entire world with him, and we're expecting a sophomore slump, but at the same time, playoff performance obviously reflects. You brought up the fact that Roman Hemby came over from Maryland. Roman Hemby was the best player on Maryland. They did split time both with who were they? Justice Ellis, Tyson Lawson. Even there was a third back too. All three of them left.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's still a running back by committee or Roman Hemby is just the guy of this offense. Fernando Mendoza for Cal. He was raising eyebrows for the whole first half of that season until I would argue that they got absolutely screwed playing the Miami Hurricanes. But he was a good quarterback. He wasn't Curtis Rourke, but he was a good quarterback.
Well, and some people are saying Mendoza is better than Rourke. I think he completed almost 70% of his passes. That's fine. That's great. Again, he's playing against ACC competition. Cal does throw the ball a little bit more. I like Rourke. That's a personal opinion. I think that also juices this number up. I don't know. I'm ready. Do you have anything to add before we dive into the schedule? Because I do have some interesting thoughts on the schedule.
No, please, let's go.
So I think that the schedule last year was really bad. Okay. And I think that that's what the big hit was, right? Everybody thought, the schedule's bad, the schedule's bad. Now, with that said, no one predicted them to do what they did last year.
Agreed.
So you can't both things can't be true, right? You can't bitch about them being bad, the schedule being bad, and say that they suck, and then when they win, you'd be like, go back on it. No. So the credit needs to be where we need to give credit where it's deserved. But I don't know if they're not gonna get the same benefit of doubt with this schedule. So so immediately they start off with 3 cupcakes. Stop me if you disagree. Old Dominion at home, Kennesaw State at home, which I think Kennesaw State's the worst team. It was the worst college football video game last year. Fun fact,
they were.
Rating was, and then Indiana State, who is in the FCS. So immediately 3 wins. Correct? You agree?
Yeah.
No 50.
Right off the rip.
Yes. Then they play our team, Illinois. I think that is a 50-50 game. Okay, they do because they get Illinois at home. But we just talked about Illinois. Illinois is going to punch them in the mouth. You go from 3 cupcakes to Illinois.
It's a wake-up call.
With a quarterback that you're breaking into Big Ten play, right? Because tell me if I'm being biased, but there's a huge difference between the Big Ten and the ACC as far as talent level and how hard you're getting hit, shit like that. So
without question.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say it's a loss, although I do lean Illinois, but that's at least a 50-50 game. The next game you go
if we called it a 50-50 game for Illinois, we have to call it for Indiana, absolutely.
Exactly. I'm trying to be – I wrote down all the schedules in my little handy-dandy notebook to try to be consistent with that shit. Next game, they go to Iowa. Okay, now Iowa's – in my opinion, their offense should be a little bit better. They bring in a new quarterback from South Dakota who won the Walter Payton Award, which is the Heisman for that level. Right? Walter Payton? Yeah, I believe so. Again, I'm not saying it's an automatic loss, but I think it's a 50-50 game at least. And I
would lean towards it as well. This is a game that I will tune in and watch without question. I know you watch every single one, but this is a game that I will tune in and watch without question. Yes.
So you agree 50-50?
50-50.
Okay. Then they play so now you have your next game is at Oregon on a back-to-back. Okay. Now it's not bad. It's not. There's a bye week in between there. Yeah. But still, you're going away back to your 2 away games in a row, 2 pretty tough environments. Maybe arguably the 2 toughest in the Big Ten.
Yes.
Again, I'm not going to say it's an automatic loss because Oregon's bringing in a new quarterback. They lost Evan Stewart, right? I lean Oregon, but it's at least a 50-50 game, right?
I think that you said it. They're we didn't expect Indiana to do what they did last year as well, but at the same time, they missed a lot of key players in the Big Ten. Ohio State's off the schedule, but if you go ahead and look at it, hey, they're still going to Oregon. They're still going to Happy Valley, and I don't see that being replicated. You get the bye, but I think going into Oregon, it's going to be their real first taste of a hostile environment. Iowa, don't get me wrong, Iowa's tough too. They're going to get there. They're going to wave to the kids. I got it. But Oregon, I don't see. They're going to figure out their niche by week 6. Let's be real.
I think that's fair. Fair. So we agree it's a 50-50 game.
I'm with it.
Okay, so the next game. So now I think we're going back into the cupcakes. Michigan State. I think that they beat Michigan State. I think
Agreed.
Jonathan Smith is working on something. Aiden Childs is not good. I think he improves. I think Indiana. I don't. But you can improve and still blow because that's how bad Michigan State.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's an automatic dub. The next game, UCLA. I think it's also an automatic dub. They look good at the end of the year, but that's another team that was so bad. Even if they improve, I mean, Indiana is going to be a borderline playoff caliber team. So I don't think that UCLA is on that level, even with Nico there. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, and then the next game, Maryland at Maryland. It is at Maryland, but Maryland fucking blows. So
Yes,
again, I think those 3 automatic dubs. Do you agree?
Yes. I would agree.
Okay. Next game, 50-50 game at Penn State. Again, a gun to my head. I'm taking Penn State on this. But it's at least a 50-50 game. Happy Valley, Penn State returns everybody. They return everybody. They don't. Yeah. That's fucking rough, man. And that's still back to back. You have to go to Maryland and then to Penn State, right?
Yeah.
Those travel games are much more intense than people realize, especially when you compare it to, like, if you think people watch the NFL and they see how these guys are treated. The colleges, even Ohio State guys they're not staying over there the whole week because they go back to class and shit. It's not the same. It's fucking hard. It's not fun. So you agree 50-50, correct?
I'm going the other way. I'm Penn State. They'll already have their eyes on the conference championship by this week. I think Penn State rolls them.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it's automatic L.
Yeah, I'm giving them an L.
Dude, I agree. I'm trying to be a little bit judicious, but man, I see what you're saying, dude. I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay, perfect. And then the last 2 games, I chalked them up as dubs. I don't think Wisconsin's going to be good. You get them at home. I think you're going to lose to Penn State. You're going to give your bounce back game, and then Purdue blows, even though you're at Purdue. So based off of that, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 50-50 games. You have 3 with 1 loss.
Yeah.
Right. Their total is, what did we say? 8.5.
Yeah.
I'm taking the under. I'm not going to bet on this. It's going to be fucking close. I have Indiana based off of my little scale here. It's like 8 wins. So I'm not going to bet on it with a half a win there. But I think it's got to be the under. And if you have less 50-50 games than me and an automatic loss,
yeah,
it feels like you're on the same page.
I'm on the same page with you. It's a lot of, we saw Curt Cignetti. We saw a schedule that favored a first-year coach last year. It's going to be interesting to see. I think, like we said time and time again, Fernando Mendoza is talented, but he's going to look even more talented playing Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State first 3 weeks. But then playing Illinois right after that is an absolute fucking wake-up call. And then going to Oregon is going to be that. And I see them just getting slumped in Happy Valley. So no, I agree with you, my friend. Yeah,
it seems like an uphill battle. And I know that people are listening. But Josh, you had 4 50-50 games, and you think Indiana's going to, if they lose all, you had that basically, Josh. You're saying that they have to lose all 4. Yeah, because I'm being generous with the 50-50s. I think that they probably will.
No, I agree.
All 4 of those, man. Like I
agree. Yeah.
Dude, I think it's going to be really – I wouldn't bet on it, though, because I am putting them as 50-50. I wouldn't, because I could see them slinking out 1 win. Maybe we have the reverse effect on Penn State where they slip in a dub because Penn State is looking ahead or whatever.
Right. Hey.
But fuck, that's unlikely, man. So I think we're both on the same page on the under on Indiana. Yeah,
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I like that take. Moving on, we've got the Iowa Hawkeyes. And let me tell you, they've got some beefy boys returning on that for Iowa. I want you to, if you're looking at the graphic though, Jenny Dunker, great mustache hair combo in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kid's a date.
For sure. And
Kid's a date.
Good. He's a badass too. That's not That guy's a
No,
badass.
absolutely. Well, absolutely. He's projected an early pick here coming up this next April. Over under win total 7.5 wins. Another. I wouldn't. No, I'm gonna pause on that. I was gonna say a cupcake beginning. You've got Iowa State that always shocks all of us in the first 8 weeks of the season, but starting out at University of Albany.
I do want to note a couple things. I know we got to speed this up, so I want to note a couple.
No, you're good.
It is important to know Iowa replaced Dickhead's son, Ferentz's son, with Tim Lester, who's a former head coach of Western Michigan. That offense was improved last year. It was not good, but it was improved. Now you bring in Mark Gronowski. Mark Gronowski is their new quarterback, the kid from South Dakota. Took him to the playoffs twice, back-to-back years. Like I said, Walter Payton Award winner. I think he won it. Now he was a finalist. This is a dude who could throw the ball. This is a dude who's going to elevate the offense. This is a dude who might be an early round draft pick. Pair that with an offensive line that's typical Iowa. Logan Jones is back at center. Dunker, you mentioned Dunker. Dunker's another high quality, all Big Ten level offensive lineman. And then again, on defense, you're still going to have a very tough Iowa defense that starts in the interior. You got them listed here. Aaron Graves. Max Llewellyn is the other interior guy, right? He's on the interior. He's got listed on the interior. Oh, no, he's listed at defensive. Whatever. They're another tough defensive lineman for Iowa that's going to wreak havoc. There's some other notable things. We talked about Xavier Nwatka a lot last year. That's a former 5-star kid Ohio State trying to recruit at safety. He's still doing his thing. They got, they always have a really good special teams. And then Wet Jen is back, and that is both their returner, who's really, really good in the return game. And I think he's going to be a part of their offensive game plan a lot more this year as well, especially now if they got a good quarterback. So let's go ahead. Let's dive into the schedule. Albany, again, not even in the same division, cupcake. But like you said, Iowa State. Now, Iowa owns Matt Campbell and Iowa State. With that said, I have this as a 50-50 game. Iowa State was good last year. They replaced that with a lot. So I have it as a 50-50 game. And honestly,
I have it as a 50-50 as well. Like I said, we sit here every single year, and then we don't pay attention to Iowa State, and all of a sudden they're 6-0, 7-0. And you're like, oh, okay, there they are.
Yeah, agree. Next game, UMass blows. We agree that's an automatic, correct?
Yep.
So the next stretch is interesting. You play at Rutgers, you play home with Indiana, and then you play at Wisconsin. Okay. Now, as much as I shit on Rutgers and Wisconsin earlier in this episode, I think Illinois. I think Rutgers is more on the speed of Iowa, right? Too hard note, rock, meat, and hammer, or whatever the fuck. Right.
More of a simplistic offensive mindset. Run the ball. Play good defense.
Tough defenses. Yeah. So I don't think that I think that Rutgers fits their style more, and it's at Rutgers. So I think that's a 50-50 game. I think Indiana's a 50-50 game, as we previously discussed, although I do lean Iowa. I actually lean Rutgers the first one. And then Wisconsin, again, it's at Wisconsin. It's early in the year. Wisconsin hasn't fallen apart yet. For as much as I shit on them earlier, those last two games are later in the year. This is earlier. Again, you're talking about Iowa, very slow plotting. They should be more exciting this year with Gronowski, but a Tiger can't change his stripes overnight. Wisconsin might be able to sneak that out, especially since it's in their backyard. And ideally, you would think they're coming off a hard-fought game against Indiana. We think it's going to be a win. Automatic letdown spot. So that's the first stretch of, I think all three of those are 50-50s.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I would wholeheartedly agree. I like that, the parallel with them and Rutgers. I'm with that. 100%.
Yeah. And then Penn State, I think that's an automatic loss.
Yeah, getting beat.
There's a huge gap there. Penn State's just really, really good this year. Then there's another stretch of 3 50-50 games in my eyes. They play Minnesota at home, which I think they can get. I think that's a dub, but I think it is a 50-50 game. Minnesota, I think that Iowa and Minnesota have very comparable talent. They're both those middle-tier Big Ten teams, right? PJ Fleck's going to have Minnesota okay. They're not going to go. They're not just – I think they're going to lose, but they're not going to go away. They could sneak a W.
No.
Then they play Oregon, right? I think Oregon wins, but Iowa could theoretically – it's at Iowa. You know, it's pretty late in the season. Those kids from Oregon are going to have to be in the cold, getting beat up on. Iowa could theoretically sneak a dub there. That's a 50-50 game. And then you play at USC, right? USC should be improved from last year because Lincoln Riley's got a fire under his ass. But they still play pussy ball, but Iowa doesn't fuck around like that. So I think that Iowa could get the dub there as well, even though that's a 50-50. So I think all three of those are 50-50s.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm gonna say when it comes to Oregon, I'm gonna put them in that Ohio State tier only when it comes to the amount of talent that's on the field and also the amount of talent that's on the bench. When we watch these Ohio State games, you know, it's solely that these smaller teams can't keep up the sprint long enough. And I can see that with Oregon. I can see that with USC as well.
Yeah, I don't argue that. Like I said, it's a 50-50 game. The only thing that makes me the fact that they get Oregon at home, I think is going
in November. Yes,
I think it's hard to. Yeah, it makes me lean Iowa, and I don't think USC. Lincoln Riley, I like Lincoln Riley. I think Lincoln Riley's a good coach, but man, those guys are pussies. So it's really hard to see them beating the shit out of Iowa. But maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, there's a reason I have it as 50-50. Next game, Michigan State. I think we both agree that's probably an automatic dub. Michigan State blows.
Agreed.
And then they end the year with another, in my eyes, a 50-50 game at Nebraska. I've talked about Nebraska. I've tested you numerous times. I think Iowa wins this game, but I do think it's going to be a hard battle. Matt Rule's a good coach. Dylan Raiola's coming back. I think there's a lot of talent going to be added. They added that wide receiver who's fast as hell from Kentucky. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I think it's a 50-50 game.
This is probably my closest 50-50 game, and you get that on Thanksgiving weekend. You go into Nebraska. These two teams could be playing for two completely different things or two very similar, records at the end of the season. So I'm interested in this one.
Okay, so let's tally it up because this one we actually have a little bit of a difference here. So I got 1, 2. I have 3 automatic wins. You have 3 automatic wins as well. Okay.
Yes.
Automatic losses. I had 0. No, I had 1 automatic loss. You had 3 automatic losses, right? I had Penn State, Oregon, USC, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That means I had 8 50-50 games.
Yeah.
And you had 6. So based off what I'm seeing, even if they win 50, even if they win half of those 50-50 games, that's 4 games. I'm taking the over. I think Iowa sits at 8-4. But I'm not putting money on this. That's fucking right.
No, if I'm eyeballing the schedule right now, I'm looking at an 8-win Iowa team. If you're putting the gun to my head today, I'm looking at an 8-win Iowa team.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's exactly where I had. I think there's potential for more. I think they're more likely to win more than 8 games than less. So again,
yeah.
But I don't know if I feel comfortable putting money on this. I probably
no. Yeah. We're talking a shift in the wind or anything like that could sway it one way or the other. But I'd be honest with you, it seems like the over under. It was kind of baffling with the over under with Illinois, but I think this over under for Iowa is kind of dead on.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a scary one. They won for Indiana was pretty close too. All right, so we're gonna hit the hour mark. I know you got to go to work. Are you want to do Maryland? You want to keep it for next week?
We're gonna do Maryland, my friend. It's Saturday in the Philippines, my friend.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay.
Yes,
all right, cool, man, cool.
So Maryland, Maryland. Hey, we've got returning backup running back from Maryland. Like we said, right, Roman Hemby, he has left. The backup, Nolan Ray, he's stepped into the number 1 spot. Caleb linebacker bringing back in the safety, Jalen Husky. They're big shining points of it. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Billy Edwards Jr., where'd he go?
Wisconsin.
He went to Wisconsin. He's playing for Luke Fickell. I can't speak on who is at the helm at quarterback for this team, nor what's exciting about this team. If you can sprinkle some salt on this one, I'd be listening. But
yeah, man. let's dive into it. Let's dive in. Let me give you my thoughts on the roster. I'll try to be as positive as possible before I fart all over it. Quarterback, it's down between two people. You got what's the guy's? I can't remember. Justin Martin, who transferred in from UCLA. But the guy I think might win the job is Malik Washington. Okay, 4-star kid from the area, going to be a true freshman. I think that he's legitimately good. Okay, I've seen
that is a name that I've been. That is a name that I've been here kicking the tires on a lot. Yes,
I didn't think that his tape was that much worse than like a guy like Bryce Underwood. But again, high school tape's weird. I don't know why you go with the older kid from UCLA who sucked at UCLA, but whatever.
Speaking of high school tapes, I mean, are you excited come next week that you can create your own high school tape in college football 26?
Dude, I never fucking play that mode, dude. I might dabble with it, but it always makes me depressed. Like, because I'm 35 years old. I'll make myself a 7'5" 18-year-old. Like I feel like I feel less pathetic when I pretend to be the head coach at Kennesaw State. Like,
now you get to grab the hat. Like,
Does my mom get pissed and walk out of the room? Who was that recruit? That was we talked about the kid whose dad walked out of the room, right? When he picked Florida over Alabama.
Well, let's be honest. If that was you, your mom would be in the corner smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, right. It should be noted too. Maryland did hire Pep Hamilton, who was the winner for the Houston Texans. I think that is an improvement. Pep Hamilton gets a lot of shit because he bounces around and he hasn't really been like super successful, but I do think he's a good coordinator. I like Pep Hamilton. I'd be stoked if Ohio State hired him. They also hired a new defensive coordinator in Ted Manicino, who was the defensive line coach in North Carolina. Don't really care about him. I don't think that's a huge deal. There's not enough talent there for him to even do anything. At running back, you mentioned it, Nolan Ray. Nolan Ray got some shine last year. He's not horrible. The receiving core at Maryland is really good, though. I tried to remember where these guys transferred in from. Jaleel Farouk, that guy came from Oklahoma, right? Another former highly recruited guy, very fast guy. Octavian Smith started last year. He was very, very productive in Maryland's offense last year. Very, very good. I shouldn't have immediately said Roman Hemby. He was right there as far as production with Roman Hemby goes. Caleb Webb is a transfer coming in from Tennessee. And then they got a tight end and Dorian Fleming, who's going to be probably somewhat of an early round draft pick. A lot of talent there.
Yeah, so I can see a day two guy out of him.
Yeah. So there is some talent there as far as the receivers go. And like I said, Nolan Ray isn't horrible. The offensive line, they got a couple guys that are okay. I'm looking at the depth chart here. God damn, I can't remember who it was. He had a goofy ass name. He was all right. Oh, Bog returns. Alu Bog, guard, returns. And then Alan Heron returns. Both their returning guys, Alan Heron as well as offensive tackle. Those guys are guys that were all Big Ten caliber. They'll probably be all Big Ten this year. They're all right. And on the defensive side of the ball, they're pretty bad at both defensive line and linebacker. But as expected, they got some pretty good athletes in the defensive backfield. They have Jamari Glasker, who's pretty solid, and then because he came from Wake Forest, we actually played. They got Arkansas State corner Dante Joyner, who actually played. It was pretty productive. And then Jalen Husky, I think he was the starter last year in Maryland here. Yeah. So that's kind of a revamped defensive backfield. I think might be okay. They had 2 linebackers leave via the portal, so that should give you Big Ten teams shouldn't have starters leave the portal that you're trying to keep. Billy Edwards, we're going to let that slide because I don't know if Maryland really wanted to keep him. Right. Those 2 linebackers, Maryland desperately wanted to keep. I think those guys are like leading tacklers. So that's kind of where we're at there. The win total for Maryland was sitting at 4.5. Yeah. Okay. Let's dive into their schedule. If you got something else to add?
No, I would love for you to look at it because I just caught it. I pulled this directly off of ESPN, these schedules. I want you to go ahead and look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look at week 10 on the graphic. This is from ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Bro, is that the right schedule?
Look at their schedule. I think it's the wrong schedule. I think they posted the wrong schedule.
Oh, dude, they for sure posted the wrong schedule.
They play Maryland week 10.
I was gonna say, like, dude, I'm looking at because I wrote down the schedule. I'm like, wait a second, and then I'm looking at my little notes.
This is the worldwide leader of sports. This is ESPN.
SEC bias, bro. If it was an SEC team, they would have fucking nailed it. But here we are. All right,
You have to call them out, my friend.
Do you have? Can you Google the schedule? I'm gonna read off the schedule that I have, and then you Google it and you tell me if mine's right. Is that cool?
Got it. Yep.
All right. So the first 3 games, I'm going to say them all because I think that they're all automatic wins. Kind of Florida Atlantic at home, Northern Illinois at home, Towson at home.
Yeah.
All those, Towson's not even in the same division, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
And that's what you're seeing too on your schedule?
Yep. FAU, NIU, and Towson.
All right, perfect. So my schedule looks like we wrote down the right one. Okay, the next 3 games, I think these are automatic L's. At Wisconsin, Washington at home, Nebraska at home. There's some pretty big talent gaps there, especially expecting to play a freshman quarterback, right? Do you see any?
No, they're taking 3 straight L's there, my friend.
Okay. First 50-50 game in my eyes at UCLA. Okay. I don't think UCLA is going to have a huge talent gap. I think Nico's very, very good. I want to be clear. Well, matter of fact, we were talking shit about Nico when the whole thing went down. I was kind of scared to talk too much shit about him because I was like, there's a 50-50 chance this guy's going to light up the world. I'm like an asshole. So I got to be very careful. But UCLA is not good. I think Maryland still loses this game because they got to go all the way out to the West Coast. But I do think that there's a 50-50 chance that maybe this Malik Washington is something special. And these transfer receivers are something special, and they could get a win. So I think it's a 50-50.
I wouldn't bat an eye seeing a 4-3 record after that week or a 3-4 record that week. You know what I mean?
Perfect. Same page. All right. Then I do not see a win the rest of the year. Indiana, at Rutgers, at Illinois, Michigan, at Michigan State. I think there's a substantial talent gap with all those teams. I think the only team you could probably make the argument for is maybe Rutgers and Michigan State, and Rutgers and Michigan State. Those are both away games with better coaches.
No,
right?
I would agree. And like I said, you wouldn't bat an eye at a 3-9 season, and you wouldn't bat an eye at a 4-8 season. Not with this team, not with this roster, not with this schedule.
Yeah, I don't see. So the win total is 4.5, right? And it seems weird to be like I'm taking the under because after I just said I guarantee 3 wins, but I don't see more than 4. The only Big Ten team I see that they might have a chance of beating is UCLA. All the other teams in their same tier are away with better coaches. Mike Locksley's not a good coach. And we see Maryland beat the shit out of shitty teams at the beginning of the year every year and then fall from that. So I know that it's a close call. I myself am putting money on the under. How do you get 5 wins from the schedule?
No, I don't see 5 wins. I have a hard time even, as I second guess myself, see 4. I can see that UCLA game at just Nico himself beating this team. I can see them like a DTR with Chip Kelly at the helm. I just see that everything runs through Nico and Nico beats this team. I wouldn't sound crazy to say that they are winless since week 3 in the season.
I 100% agree. It seems like such a low win total, but dude, I feel like that under. I feel like smashing that under, bro. Like I don't see it.
Believe me, though, but I will say this. We were kind of on the same page last year as well with Maryland, but every week that Maryland plays, they're looking at the price. There isn't a cheaper ticket in town.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Let's be real. There's no way that less than 70% of their games are on the Big Ten Network. Dude, Big Ten Network 2, 3 this season.
So is he fired after this year?
I think he is.
I think he is too. It's
without question
crazy too because he recruits the area pretty well. They got an offensive lineman that was a 4-star from the area. They got a running back that was a 4-star from the area. It's so weird because when you look at if you look at them their recruiting class compared to a team like, I'm trying to pull up my little thingy here, like a team like Purdue, like they get like 4 or 5 highly rated recruits a year.
Yeah.
Like Purdue gets like 0, right? Like I don't. It's
agreed.
It's very odd to me that he can't. They're not even close to being good.
No, they're not. They're not sniffing. They're a team that, for the better part of being in the Big Ten, let's be real, they're a team that, other than a couple of stud players who end up having good NFL careers, I mean, they're a team that has a hard time sniffing 500.
I think that his window was Talia. I think that Talia was a good. I don't think Talia was a good quarterback because I bitched about.
Well, you got to think they had Talia, they had Stephon Diggs. That early inception of the Big Ten.
But I think that under Mike Locksley, I think Talia was not Talia was their JT Barrett.
Yeah,
it was the Maryland.
That's a good comparison.
And he just could, and that was the best. That was the best they were. Yeah, man. He missed his fucking window. That was it. I think that was the cap, and that was a guy you got, a former 5-star recruit you got from Alabama who stayed in college for 6 years, and that was the best you could do. That was your best you could do was 3 fucking bowl games.
Yeah, I think he's well under 500 this year. They don't go bowling. They're sniffing at the bottom of the Big Ten, and he's gone this year.
He's a bad coach. He was a fucking abortion at New Mexico or New Mexico State.
We won't argue that. We won't argue that. So we've covered the first 4 teams. Next week, we are going to go ahead and lean into it. We're going to cover Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Nebraska.
That's good episode.
It's a good episode. There's a lot of uncertainty with these teams, but they're all teams that we are excited to watch this upcoming season.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Especially with the amount of hype Bryce Edwards got, so we got a lot to talk about with Michigan. I think they're going to be good. I think that those two. That's going to be an episode of some decent teams to talk about. So.
I know it's still the 4th for you. You undertaking in any festivities? Are you going to go ahead and light some sparklers in the front yard, anything like that?
We were going to take the baby to a car show, but we got out of the car and it was so blistering hot. So you got to put the little shade over them, and it's like douse them in sunscreen. It's like it's not even. There's no point. He can't even say car. It's not worth our time.
My daughter has a good one. We were talking about sparklers, and then she called them aggressive incense, and now I'm aggressive incense.
I'm gonna steal that too. That's really cool.
No, that's a good one. My tip of my hat to her.
You were proud. Was that a good?
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, hell yeah!
I was happy for him, and I was the one that was like, damn it. Why did I think of that?
That's good shit. That's good shit.
No, we will be back next week. We're going to, like I said, we're going to talk Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Nebraska. We're going to cover any Buckeye news. We, hopefully we got a little bit more Buckeye news. When do the players report? Are we talking in 2 weeks?
Dude, we're getting close. Yeah, it's like it might be 2 weeks. Maybe it might be a week.
Might be a week or two, right?
It's like the end of the month.
Do we cover that, or do we cover it like the Met Gala? Like, what are they wearing? Like,
Dude, someone will. They're going to be there taking.
I know.
It used to be fun because it would be like like Drew Chrisman would have like the photo of his face and his face and his face every year he was there,
right?
Or like you see some asshole wearing pajama pants or whatever. But now they make so much money. It's going to be Jeremiah Smith rolling up in a fur. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to feel bad about myself.
It'll be like the Met Gala for dudes.
Dude. Yeah. You're right.
Like the Met Gala for dudes. But to each and everyone that jumped on, we appreciate you. We appreciate the activity on YouTube. You guys jump on over there, want to watch this episode, please drop us a like, give us a little thumbs up, give us a subscribe if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate it. We are getting ever so close to talking meaningful college football. We got players reporting here within the next couple of weeks. We've got a game that's going to we say it's going to consume our lives, but we're grown ass men. It's not going to happen. We're gonna say we played it, but we'll give you
play it, but it's going to be like a half, and then I'm going to go change a diaper, and then the TV's going to change. Yeah, it'll be over.
Right.
That's life.
Yeah,
But this is meaningful football. We if you listen to us last year, we made you money. Well, I made you money. Okay, so we'll see what happens this year.
We will see, and we're getting ever so close. We're starting to get tings and twinges. We know college football is on the horizon. We will be back here next week. We hope to see you as well. If you're looking for me, you can find me at CRunning15 on X. Josh.
Yeah, at Josh Keatley 16. Definitely, both of our DMs are always open. You can also hit us up on Facebook as well. So we do have a little Facebook page where we share our YouTube videos, and YouTube links, and stuff like that at Ohio State at Mine. So thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. As always, college football is right around the corner, and go Bucks.